Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ATP Live Monday. I hope everybody can see me. You can hear me. Feel free to share the video for those of you watching on Facebook or in our groups. Invite friends and family for those of you on Instagram. Yes, I think we are good to start. I'm just also going to share the videos and just make sure everybody can see me well, and just make sure my light is bright. Okay, I think that's good. I'm just checking my volume. Okay, great. I think it's better now. So feel free to share the video. We're going to start soon. I'm also going to do the same. Making sure everything is looking okay. All right, great. So welcome to ATP Live. And I'm just going to share the videos to all our various groups, make sure everybody can see me and can hear me. And then after that, we can go on to answering our questions. Welcome, everyone. Just give me a few minutes to just make sure the video is shared to all our various groups, and then we can start. Okay, I can see the link to ATP Hacks to Pediatrician, so I don't know whether I made a mistake. Okay, so for those on our Facebook group, just let me know if you can see the ATP live. I'm just quickly going to go to the ATP Ask the Pediatrician and make sure the video. Okay, I can see my video now, so I'm just going to share it quickly, and then we'll be starting. I think Facebook was a little bit late in giving me the link. Okay, let me just make sure. Okay. And I just need to pin it in the group so everybody can see it. So welcome. I hope your Monday has been good. I'm fine. Welcome, everybody. I'm just taking in first few minutes just to make sure we have all the posts in the rightful places. So just bear with me 1 minute. I'm almost done so that you're not wondering what is happening today. And if you have questions, for those of us on Instagram, on Facebook, you can start to drop your questions now while I'm doing all this background admin stuff. Please start dropping your questions and I'll begin to answer them straight away as soon as we pin all the posts in the right places. Okay, and finally, Ask the Pediatrician is solved. Oh, my system is so slow today. I don't know what's up. Okay, finally, have seen it. Okay, so I think I've finished all the pinning and posting to the various platforms. So I guess you can all see me. All right. Good evening, everyone. I am Gbemisola Boyede. I'm a pediatrician, and I'm going to be answering all your children health questions that you may have today in the next 1 hour. So this program has been brought to you by the Pediatricians Foundation. So our vision is to reduce unnecessary child deaths in Nigeria and in Africa generally and all over the world. And we do that through health education information, which we mostly do online. But beyond that, we also do community medical outreaches. And so we have 3 Facebook groups where you can ask your questions. You can ask your question on Ask the Pediatricians for children health issues. And if it's an adult health issues, you can ask on ATP family. And you are suffering, if you have experienced a child loss or loss of pregnancy and you want kind of psychological support, you can post such questions on our HCP Still a Mom group. All right. So those are the places where you can post your questions from Mondays to Saturdays. And our professionals and moderators always there to give you evidence-based answers to your questions. If you want to have private one-to-one chats, you can do that through our ATP clinics with our professional directly. However, this is a premium service which you pay some moderate fees for. And also, you can do that by sending us a message on our WhatsApp number or by emailing us at Clinics ATP. And like I said, we are a non-profit, so we encourage you to support our outreaches. You can donate to us on our direct account number or on our website through the Global Giving page. We also encourage you to follow us on all our social media platforms. So thank you so much for those of you on Instagram. I do see you tagging Ask the Pediatricians in all the posts where people are asking questions about child health. Thank you. Please encourage your friends and family to always follow us on Instagram, on Twitter. You can also watch all these videos on our YouTube page channel called ATP TV. All our previous videos are always there, and of course it's also available on our page. You can also check our website if you want to read about children health issues from the perspective of a pediatrician. You can check our website for such information, and you can read and also ask your question even on the website as well. So I'm done with all the announcement, and then we can now go on straight to answering questions. I can't see so many questions yet on Facebook, and I'm not sure I can see any on Instagram as well. So please try and ask your questions on time so that I don't have to rush to the end to answer your question. So if you're on Instagram, you have question, please drop it now. Okay, I can see all of you there. I can also see Dr. Vera. Thank you so much for joining me. So if you have your question, feel free to drop it now. But I think I'm just going to go to Facebook and start there first because I can see many questions on Facebook. So all our handles and all that, you can see it on the screen in case you want to send us any information. Everything you need is showing on my screen for those on Facebook and YouTube. For those on Instagram, after the program, if you go to our profile, you will see everything there as well. All right. Okay. So I'm just going to go to questions. Thank you so much for those who can see me. Thank you, Melda. Thank you, Olubumi, Ajayi. Good evening. Grace, good evening. Good evening, Anome. Good evening, Oluwatosin, Yemisi. Okay, I've got the first question. Grace Ruben is saying, please change your baby formula. Will it have effect on my baby? Okay, so thank you, Grace, for the question. Before I go on, let me just quickly give some background housekeeping rules. Please, if you're asking questions, always tell us the age of your baby. Always provide the right concepts. If you are asking about weight of your baby, for example, or whether child is not gaining weight or not, that it would be good to have some information about either the birth weight, the current weight, so that we have context. So Grace, I think you need to re-ask your question. So you need to let me know how old your baby is, why is your baby on formula, why do you need to change formula. I need to have understanding before I can say whether it's going to affect your baby or not. The way your question is now is too generic and is so unspecific for me to know what is really what you really have in mind. So that will be helpful so that I don't give you just anyhow answer. So it's been nice for us to have a contest. I hope that is helpful. Thank you so much for those who are just joining. Feel free to drop your questions on whichever platform you're watching from. But if you are watching on any of the other groups apart from Ask the Pediatricians, you have to navigate your way to the page to be able to ask a question. All right, so the first question, Lupumi Ajay, say thank you. Good evening. Son of 1 year, 8 months had cough and catarrh, and in the call started snoring really loud. Took him to the health center. They say it's adenoids. So my question is, why has this never happened before? Okay, so children are born with adenoids, but adenoids get bigger as the children grow older. So you don't have to be born with everything. So I'm not sure I understand your question, like why has this never happened before? It can happen. Adenoid is something everybody have. Maybe that's what you need to understand. It's not something new that just fell on the child. So all children have adenoids, and it gets bigger and bigger as they grow older till like they reach about the age of 5 or 6, and then it gets smaller and smaller. So most likely your baby's adenoids has grown bigger and is causing some degree of obstruction in the airway, and that is why you are hearing the snoring. Now, the treatment depends on how big the adenoids is. If it is not so big, because like I just told you now, when the children reach about the age of 5 or 6, it tends to shrink on its own. We usually don't do anything about it. And but if it's really big and causing obstruction to the airway, it's making the child to stop breathing, what we call obstructive sleep apnea, when the child is sleeping. Or causing recurrent infection, and the child needs to be treated several times for respiratory tract infections, then you need to see the ENT doctors, and they will decide whether do we need to take it out or not. But most of the time, we don't want to take it out. We want to leave it to shrink on its own, unless it is causing problems. So since this is your first time, I don't think there's anything to worry. Just watch for now and just monitor it for now. So it's not something that you can stop from reoccurring. It can happen. It's adenoid is a structure in the body, so it's not something happening. So if it is a snoring you're worried about, it's just a sign of something causing obstruction, and there's nothing you can do about that. The only thing is to watch whether the child is having other signs of very severe adenoid enlargements, and that is when you need to see the ENT doctors, and they will take you to the next level. And then you talk about whether your child is not yet talking at 18 months. No, sorry, 20 months. So usually for a 2-year or a 1.5-year-old child, we expect them to start talking. We expect them to have at least not less than to have a lots of single words, and at least they should be combining the words together as well. So they should be combining words together. So if at 20 months your child does not have any words at all, you should see a speech therapist. You should see a speech therapist. If you are on Ask the Pediatricians, you can go to our guide section. We have what we call the milestones for speech milestones, what you should expect at 6 months, at 1 year, at 2 years, 3 years, and so on. And we also give you the red flags. So if you don't see this at this age, then this is a time to see a speech therapist or a pediatrician. So I want you to go through that milestone. But for what you showed me, if your child has never talked, you should see a speech therapist for further evaluation. It is not because of the adenoids. The adenoids does not stop a child from talking. I hope that is helpful. Thank you. Bisade, good evening. Good evening. And okay, Grace, you've not listened to I believe you've heard what I said now. So ask your question properly. Salma Ichidera, which milk can I give to my son of 1 year is reacting to pick 1, 2, 3? So there are lots of milk that are suitable for a 1 year old. A 1 year old can even take the regular milk, the milk that you, the rest of the family, you are taking. Your 1 year old can take that. So and I'm not really sure what you mean by the child is reacting, because you have not given us that information. It's also be helpful for us to know what exactly is the reaction, because it's really a doctor that should make those kind of diagnosis of a child being allergic or reacting to something. So if you are not sure, and we have given you other alternative you can try, but it may be nice to also provide adequate information on what you meant by your child's reaction, so we know whether it's actually milk or not even milk. All right. This next question by Facebook user. So if you're on our Facebook group and you want to ask a question, if you want me to say your name, you need to give StreamYard the permission to show your name. If you don't do that, I'm only going to see you as a Facebook user. What that means is that, please, if you want to ask a question, ask everything at once in full. Don't drop parts and then don't respond to me partly again, because I won't know which of the Facebook users is yours. So you have to put all your questions in one comment. If you want, if you want to give me any additional information, you must also tell me what you said earlier and what you are saying now, so that I can know that this is you, or else it's going to be messy. So the best option is to give Facebook the permission to show your name, then I will know it is you. Even if you give additional information, I always know it's you. But if it is showing as Facebook user, I will not know. You will not know that it's showing as Facebook user, but I will. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying your name. All right. So good evening, Doc. I would like to say my bit for second opinion. And that's like you said, I took my baby for a second opinion. Okay. And another doctor said it's okay if she's not bearing weight with her legs at 5 months. But my question is, why do some babies bear weight at 3 and 4 months? Mine does not reach at almost 6 months. Okay. If I remember, I'm sure you've asked question before, but that maybe why is your baby not standing at 5 months? And I must have told you that we don't expect a baby to stand at 5 months. So, and I'm happy you've gone for a second opinion and you have been reassured. You don't need to be asking, oh, why is some baby doing this or why is not. The most important thing is that what is normal. Are we worried whether a baby is able to do it or not? That is the most important thing. So I've not seen your baby, I've not examined your baby. I don't know whether your baby has other issues, but like I've told you, we don't want you to start worrying or panicking. The most important thing is what your baby is able to do or not able to do. Is this something that the doctors are worried about or not? You cannot start comparing your baby with other babies. So I'm happy you've seen a doctor who has reassured you. So let your baby be. And when your baby is 1 year, when we expect your baby to be standing, walking, if your baby is not yet able to stand, then please see us again. Okay, Grace has not asked her question very well now. Say your baby is 1 month, 3 weeks. I'm giving baby nutri, and family member said none is best. So I want to know if you have any effect on my baby. Your family member told you lies. The best for your baby is breast milk. There is no formula that is best for your 1 month, 3 weeks old. The best for your baby is breast milk. Even on your all those formula you've mentioned, go and read on the can, on those things. It is written on those formulas that the breast milk is the best for your baby. You can go and take a picture, or you can go and do that quick check now and come back and tell me. So what is your baby should be taking is breast milk. I'm not interested in formula A or formula B or formula C. There's none of them is the best, and none of them is close to the best. So the best thing for a baby 1 month, 3 weeks is breast milk. We all agreed on that. So if you have not told me any reason why your baby is taking a particular formula and not breast milk, so that is my own. So I'm not even interested in changing from A to B to C formula. I'm interested in why are you not breastfeeding your baby, because that is the best for your baby. Your own milk, human milk, is the best for a human baby, not a cow milk. Okay, so I think that is the best thing. Of course, I know that there are maybe health reasons, very limited reasons why a baby may have to be on formula, which I'm not going to go into today, but that is what is important. And in that case, a pediatrician should be the one telling you to breastfeed. I mean, telling you to give a particular formula, and they will prescribe it. They will prescribe what they want for your baby. So, but otherwise, if you want the best, which is what I think you are looking for, then just use your own breast milk, and that will be the best for your baby. Okay, Samuel asks, at what age baby talk audible words are not babbling? So from age of 1 year, most babies should have at least 1 to 3 words. So usually by 1 year, they should have at least 1 to 3 words that they say. So like I told the other person, you need to go to our Facebook group, go to the guide section. We have a guide section on speech milestones. I think it's guide 9, if I'm correct, and you can look through all those milestones for speech. Usually by 1 year, a 1 year old child should at least have 1 to 3 words. Most of them, even by 9 months, they're already saying dada, mama, and all that. So that is what you should be checking. Of course, most time we give babies some time to catch up. Some children are a little bit late. Usually, the speech therapists want you to see them if your child is not talking at all by 2 years. That is, we are giving you enough time to catch up. Okay, Bisade Food say your child is not gaining weight. She doesn't eat much, but I ensure she eats balanced diet at every little she takes. Worried. Okay, so please, when you are writing, try and help us put some punctuation so I can understand. Okay, but I think what you're saying is that your baby is not eating much, but she's eating a little. But even the little she takes is balanced. I hope I'm correct. Your pediatrician told you that your baby will catch up at the age of 2 years. So the last weight was 9 kilos, and birth weight was 1.4. Preterm baby at 3 weeks. Okay, so a preterm baby. How old is your baby now? Because you have not told me that. I think that's the most important thing. Is your baby okay? Is your baby age now 2 years, or your pediatrician said the baby will catch up at 2 years? So that is, I'm a bit confused. So if the baby's current age is now 2 years and your baby is weighing 9 kg, it's not so bad. Usually we expect your baby to be weighing like 15, like 12 kilos at this age. But your baby was preterm, so your baby started small. So, but then 9, so your baby is a little bit underweight. That is the truth. I think what you need to do is to encourage the baby to eat more. I don't know whether you've seen your pediatrician has recommended for you to see a dietitian for support in terms of if your baby is eating, which is good, but maybe it's not eating a lot. What we need to do is that we need to increase the number of times the baby eats in a day. So instead of giving the baby maybe 3 to 4 times in a day that we recommended, you may want to make it 5 to 6 times. So even though it's a little quantity she eats, but she has to eat it more often, because maybe it's a little bit underweight now. It should be weighing closer to 12 kilos, because usually by the age of 2 years, we stop correcting for the baby being born small. So the baby has lived 2 years, so he has lived enough time to be able to catch up with everything. So if at 2 years, baby is still on the weight, and I'm assuming your baby is 2 years old. So if your baby is 2 years old and it's weighing 9 kilos, the baby is underweight, preterm or no preterm. What we need to do, but that's not to make you panic. What we need to do is to ensure that the baby eats more food. So if the baby is only eating a little, let's let the baby eat it more frequently so that the baby can begin to gain weight. If you need more help with that, then you may want to see a dietitian or a pediatric nutritionist, and they can give you further advice on what quantity. So sometimes you may have to be able to add something to the food to make it have more calories. For example, if you make pap, you may add palm oil or something, that will increase the calorie content of it. Even though it doesn't increase the quantity of the food, it will increase the calorie without necessarily increasing the quantity. So those are some things that dietitian may want to teach you and all that. Even nutritional supplements and things like that. Nutritionists have those kind of things that they can add to your baby's food that will increase the calories without necessarily increasing the quantity of food that the baby is eating. I hope that's helpful. Okay. The next person say my baby will be 9 months this February. I want to ask when I can braid her hair that won't affect her or cause headaches to her. Okay. All right, so pediatrician gets asked all sorts of questions, even though this is not an health question, but it's still a very important question to the mom. So there's no law about when you can start breathing your baby's hair. It's up to you when you want to do it. The only thing I would like to say is please, it has to be soft. Like if you want to, just like you can put like soft ruffles. Let's not pull the baby's hair tight and you can see all the rashes coming under it. So soft ruffles, you can just do with your own hand. You don't need to take them to a salon for anything. And please, let's not start putting all the braids and stuff on baby's head as well. And of course, let's remember hand hygiene, hand washing before you do the hair, after you do the hair. So if it's just because your baby's hair is becoming big much and you are not having difficulty to manage it, you can just put small ruffles around them. Don't make it too tight. Don't those are the things you need to do. As long as you are gentle, you're doing, soft, maybe patting and ruffles and all that, your baby will be fine. I hope that's helpful. But there's no law when you can do it or not. It doesn't have to be at any time. Okay, Samuel is giving me an update that your baby's reaction to pig is because baby is having diarrhea after taking the milk and the stool usually green. Okay, so that sounds more like what we call food intolerance. Not reaction, but intolerance. They are a little bit different, but don't worry. I know that's not for mothers to worry about. But you, like I said, try other milk as well. Another thing you may want to make out, there are other ways of taking milk without drinking it. You can make milk part of food or part of your cooking. So parents always, you can make smoothies and all that. So parents always say milk is when you mix it in liquid and drink. And please make sure you are not giving it with bottle. That's another thing I always want parents to be aware of. So, but there are other ways you can make. You can use milk to cook. You can use milk to make smoothies. You can other way in a way that it will be still be more acceptable to the baby. But if you are really sure it's a milk that the child is reacting to, just stop it. Try a different milk, and it may be helpful. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go to Instagram, people, so I don't forget Instagram. All right, my Instagram family, thank you for your patience. Wow, Instagram has now loaded questions here and there. All right. Okay. Just pardon me. I have to scroll to the beginning, so make sure I didn't miss out anybody's questions, so that people will not forgive me if I miss out the question. Okay, so James Online say, please, when should a baby girl start standing or sitting? Now, let's start by saying all these baby girl, baby boy, when it comes to development, there's no difference. So there's nothing like baby girl sits at this time, baby boy sits at this time. No, everybody should sit at the same time. Everybody should walk at the same time. So there's no difference between baby girl or baby boy. Because I get a lot of questions. When should I start sitting my baby boy? When should I? As if sitting the baby boy has to be different from when you sit the baby girl or something like that. There's nothing like that. So that's number one. So number two is when should they get start? So when should a baby start standing? Usually, most children start standing by 10 months, and at most by 1 year. So 10 months, averagely, most children will be standing and holding to table and moving around the table 11 months. By 1 year, they can start walking. But that is what we call average. So what does that mean? That sometimes some babies may be a little bit earlier, some babies may be a little bit later. So, but pediatricians, I'm not going to worry if your baby is not standing or walking until 18 months. So even though the average time is 10 months, 11 months, I will not worry about it until 18 months. So usually we give children some time to catch up. We give time for those who are a little bit slower. Not that there's anything wrong with them, they are just a little bit slower. And I always give this analogy to parent that all of us are not Dangote. So even you as a parent, so you're also a parent, but you are not having the same amount of money like another parent. So but you also have your own money and you're comfortable. So sometimes children may not reach the same milestone exact time that we expect, but they will eventually get there. But when it is really now out of the what we call we've given them that adjustment allowance to catch up, then we will now start thinking, oh, is there something going wrong? So usually we say by 18 months, we want them walking. If they are not walking, standing, please see us for further evaluation. And if you want to know more about developmental milestones, what is normal, what is abnormal, which I strongly recommend for all mothers, especially first time mothers, please go to our website. I have an article there on my child's it's my child development on course. Is it normal or not? So please go there and check it up. And I forgot, I've always meant to make this announcement. I forgot. We also have our first time mom course coming up. If you're a first time moms are my favorites. They are very dear to my heart. And so usually when I see questions, I know when the first time mom is asking questions, I can smell it ahead. So because of that, I've created a course for first time mothers, because first time mothers panic a lot, they worry a lot. And I don't want you to worry. I don't want you to be panicky. I want you to be calm. I want you to be confident. I want you to know that you can take care of your baby on your own without any omugo, anybody coming to stay with you, and you can do it successfully. So we created a course for first time mom. It's online, it's available, but we're also going to do a version of it that is going to run from March for 12 weeks. So if you want to be part of that course, it is not free. It is it's just 20,000 naira, but it's 12 weeks course. Feel free to send us a WhatsApp message or check any of our platforms. I'm sure you will see the link on how to register for the course. It's something that I believe as a first time mother, you will enjoy it a lot, because we'll cover everything you need to know as a first time mom. And for those who are pregnant, Dr. Jumoke, who is a gynecologist, is also running one for the antenatal course for pregnant mothers or mothers who are trying to conceive. So I just say I'll just remember that now. If I always forget to tell you guys online. So you may want to register for those courses. You will find it very helpful. So we talk about all these things: developmental milestone, feeding, nutrition, care of the baby, all those practical stuff. How do I bath my baby? Hairdo, skin rashes, everything is covered in that course. And I strongly recommend it for every first time mom. I know the experienced mothers have more experience, but first time mom or any mom who wants to know more about care of babies to raise a LD baby, you may want to join us for that course. It's starting in March, so you have time to prepare for it. Olabisi Lawa say, good evening. Please, can you recommend where I can get rotavirus? Okay, where? I think most government hospitals should have it, but I know sometimes they are running in and out, and some children hospital in Lagos should have it. So how recommend that? Why don't you Google it and see any hospital that have rotavirus available, or where you can buy it? I think some of the pharmacy stores as well, they may be able to get it for you. Rotavirus can be gotten in pharmacy because it's an oral vaccine and all that. So if you post this on our Facebook group, some others who have gotten their rotavirus, they may be able to tell you where they got their own. Ideally, we should be getting it in our health center, but I know that some people have been telling me governments sometimes they are running out of it and all that. But I'm sure some people are also getting it as well, but I'm not sure where now. So we may need to post that on our Facebook group and ask people which center have rotavirus. But of course, I know you have to pay for that. But even your center, they can help you to get it as well. So ideally, you should be getting it free from the government. But I know you know better. Okay, Didi Daisy say, my 2-year-old haven't started communicating well. He reads A to Z, but he hasn't called me mama or mommy. Definitely, I'm going to worry about a 2-year-old who is not calling mommy, who is not communicating. I want you to see a speech therapist, or I want you to see a developmental pediatrician. It's very important, because I'm a developmental pediatrician, and we talk about early intervention. Early intervention helps. So if a child is having developmental issue, we want to pick it up early, and we want to do something about it. We want to start speech therapy, and if you can get them talking before 5, we are very happy. So you need to do that. Oluwaseun Sadibo, good evening. Please, I have a boy clocking a year, 6 months in January, but I've not started walking on his own. Okay, you need to see us. You need to see a pediatrician, preferably a developmental pediatrician or a pediatric neurologist. You definitely need to see us. He will crawl, which is good. He uses push walker. Okay, we don't recommend walkers. Should I be worried? Yes, I should be worried. Every child should be walking before 18 months. If they are not working at 18 months, we want to check, is there something wrong? Is there something we can do about it? I'm not so worried about your child because he's already crawling, which is a good sign. He's closer, but then 18 months is more than enough for a child to have started walking. So we want to check that there's no medical issue that we should be dealing with and sorting out. So please, it's urgent, otherwise that you see a pediatrician as soon as possible, preferably a pediatric neurologist or developmental pediatrician. So if you are not sure where to get one, then depending on where you are writing from, you may want to go to your teaching hospital. Your child needs to see a pediatrician urgently. Adura for me, my baby of 2 months has catarrh. What is the best way to treat her? Okay, most babies having cough and catarrh at that age is a viral infection. What that means that they don't need any treatments, they don't need no drugs. What we need to do is to protect them, because most viral infection will run their course and stop. So we focus more on how do we even prevent this from happening. So we recommend you keep your baby warm, breastfeed them exclusively, keep them away from people that are coughing and having catarrh, because trust me, that baby got it from somebody. So those are the things you need to do. Make sure your house is well ventilated, nobody is smoking. You are not taking the baby to the kitchen where you're frying oil. Your baby's room is not close to where the generator fumes are entering in. Like most Nigerian families use generator. These are the things that irritate the baby. Make sure the siblings are not coming to kiss the baby. I know they love to carry the baby, but sometimes they go to school, they get the respiratory infection and they bring it home to the baby. So these are the things we need to do. Of course, hand washing and all that. So if you do that, that will help the baby overcome respiratory infection and prevent it from happening again. We don't recommend no medication at this age, no cough syrup, no antibiotics, nothing. It's very important. Is it Charlie? Is it the same Charlie Ho? Okay, no. Charlie Ho said she was grunting during the nights and running temperature. Charlie Ho, I'm not sure what your first question was. Let me scroll up. Charlie, your question, the first question is lost. So you just say your baby is grunting, and I don't know what that means. So when you want to ask a question, start from the beginning, age of the child, what is the problem, and then we can understand what you are trying to tell us. Okay, so I'm not sure I understand your question. The first thing I'm seeing you right is she was grunting during the night and running temperature. I have no clue what you said earlier. Maybe you thought you've posted something, but it didn't show, so you may want to repost. But if your child is having fever, grunting at night, that child is an hospital case. That child should go to the hospital. Adam, Sophie, good evening. Can I give my baby with milk allergy yogurt? So can we start with the age of the baby? So for those who are just joining, please, when you want to ask a question, let's start with the age of the baby first. So we need to know whether that baby is even age appropriate to take yogurt and all that. And with the milk allergy, who makes the diagnosis of milk allergy first? What is the child allergic to? What milk? So a child reacting to breast milk is different from a child who reacts to cow milk, because in cow milk it may not be the milk, the lactose part, it may be the protein part of it. So we always need to have that clarity before we can advise. Udo Mbalewe, my 4-month-old baby is losing hair. Some parts are also getting bald. I'm also losing hair. Wow. Is it a more causing it? Well, it's not really. I'm not sure about your own, but I can answer for the baby's own. So, depending, there are many causes of hair losses in babies. There's actually hair loss that babies do as what the dermatologist will call a natural cycle of hair loss. So there's no rash. There's nothing wrong with the baby's hair. The hair just fall out. and after a while it will grow back. So that one, there's nothing you can do. If you are worried about the cosmetic look, you can cut off the hair and wait for it to grow back again. But sometimes you also need to check that maybe it doesn't have like scalp rashes, because if there are rashes under the scalp, like seborrheic dermatitis, all those kind of, like dandruff, cradle cap, all those things, they can cause the baby to lose hair as well. So you will need, so just check your baby first, make sure, is there anything wrong, is there any rashes under the scalp, anything. If there's none and it's just hair loss, baby is otherwise okay. It may just be a natural hair cycle loss. But if there are skin scalp rashes and all that, you need to see one of my colleagues, a doctor, to treat it properly. For yourself, I don't know really. I'm not sure. I know some women lose hair in pregnancy, some lose hair. Maybe stress can even make you lose hair and all that. So you may want to see your own doctor to be able to say why you are losing hair. I'm not sure whether it's also linked to why your baby is losing hair. I'm not really sure it's the same. All right, Harvey 108. My baby was born preterm at 34 weeks, and birth weight was 1.9, weight at 14 weeks 5.5. She's 16 weeks now. I want to know his corrected age and if his weight is okay. So if your baby was born at 34 weeks, so your baby was born 6 weeks earlier, and so your baby is now 16 weeks chronological age, I assume. So if your baby's his chronological age is 16 weeks and your baby was born 6 weeks earlier, then your baby's corrected age is 10 weeks. So your baby's corrected age is 10 weeks and the weight is fine. 5.5 is more than fine for a 10-week-old baby. So no need to worry. But make sure you're also seeing your pediatrician for your preterm baby to check other issues that we normally check. Okay, somebody has answered that she got her own in Jericho Hospital Ibadan for 6,000 naira. That's cheap, yeah. So you can go get. I think whoever asked me a question about rotavirus, somebody has answered you. So I don't know whether you are from Ibadan or not. So, but that is so you have information. I hope you don't have to travel to Ibadan to get rested. But I'm sure they have it. If you're in Lagos, they have it. Just check any of the children hospitals, so ask them. They can get it for you. Okay, so Lollipop is asking me, Walker not recommended? Yes, Walker is not recommended for children. It's not recommended by pediatricians. If we have our way, no company will be making walkers for children. The physiotherapists don't recommend walkers. Please, it does not make your children walk earlier. It doesn't make them walk faster. It actually puts them at risk of injuries and of falls. So, I mean, if you have been on our Facebook group, if you have always listened to me, you will know that I preach against walkers, and this is in countries like Canada, they ban walkers. If you check, just Google it, pediatricians and walkers, we have the answer. So AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, has recommended that children should not use walkers. The physiotherapists do not recommend walkers. I know people that are selling it to you, they are just making money, but because when the children fall, when they have all those injuries, they come to the pediatricians. You don't go to the people that are selling the walkers to you. So please, there is no need for you. Let your children walk barefooted, let them crawl. They don't need walkers or any of such contraptions for them to walk. It is actually a misnomer for it to be called a walker. Okay, I think I'll answer one more question on Instagram, then I will head over to my Facebook family. Okay. Inkiru Kelechi is saying, I want you to see my son. His hearing reduced. I saw an ENT. She suggested ADHD. I want you to see him. What's the process? So if you want me to see your son, send us a WhatsApp message on +234 905 68. Okay, I hope I remember now. Okay, yeah, he said +234 905 691 6818, or email clinicsatp@gmail.com. clinicsatp@gmail.com. Those are the ATP clinics contact details. You didn't tell us the age of your child. If your child is below 5, don't worry about ADHD. We don't diagnose ADHD below the age of 5. You've not told me that. So, but if you want to see, that's that one. Okay, I thought I will pause Instagram. Let me go back to Facebook. Okay, I've answered that one. Kemisola Haremo, my son of 11-year-old manhood is very small. Okay, just like that of a 3-year-old. Okay, is this something I should worry about? Okay, so when it comes to the penis of a child, um, there's a way we measure it. The pediatrician, we measure a lot of things. That's why you always see us with our taperoos around our neck. So you need to see a pediatrician. We have to measure it because there's a length that is normal. Sometimes you may think it's small, it may not be small, it may just be the normal length. So, and that's where we measure it different from the way you do it. So we have to make sure that everything is completely long before we measure it. So I would recommend you go to a teaching hospital, see pediatric endocrinologists. They have a clinic for such cases. They will measure it and they will tell you whether they are worried or not. Luckily, your son is also 11, going closer to the age of puberty. Um, so there's a length that is normal before puberty, and then as they get when they now go into puberty, that is when it begins to get bigger and longer. So maybe you are comparing, maybe it's just not yet reaching its own puberty yet, and it's just about to hit puberty. So but the pediatrician can advise you on that, so there's nothing to be worried about. um and then most important is why, but like I said, because your child is about to hit puberty, we really need to know whether it's actually really not small or it's just not yet in puberty, or whether it's actually small for us to worry about. So Lavina says, good evening, my daughter of 4 years started running temperature on Saturday, gave paracetamol, stop on Sunday. Saturday again, plus watery highs, running nose. I've given paracetamol. I would have gone to hospital today, but there's lockdown at eastern part of Nigeria every Monday. What should I do? Okay, if your child is having fever and watery highs and running nose, that sounds to me like a respiratory tract infection. But you didn't tell me whether your baby is having rashes and all that, because I also have to start thinking about measles here. But luckily, you've not told us your baby is having rashes. Well, so for now, there's nothing much you can do, because even if it's a measles is a viral infection, it will resolve on its own. What you need to keep giving your paracetamol. You can also give your baby a cool bath, and then just keep the baby warm, give a lot of fluids, let them drink a lot of water and all that, and watch. If it persists, you should go to the hospital. I don't know how it is in the eastern part of Nigeria, but I don't think lockdown or any lockdown should stop anybody from going to hospital if you have an emergency. Health is an essential service, and health is something everybody should assess whether there's any lockdown or not. I don't know who are the people controlling the place, but I think it's a dangerous thing if people are sick and they cannot go to hospital because of any lockdown, anything. There are always exceptions to the rules, and health issues is an exception. But please take your baby to the hospital if by tomorrow your baby is still having fever. Okay. Oh, Ruben, Grace, you are coming back. I've answered your question. So you asked us which is the best milk for your baby, and I've told you that the best milk for your baby is breast milk, not formula A or formula B or formula C. And the best milk for any baby 0 to 6 months is breast milk. I hope that's helpful. The next person, my baby of 6 months sits without support, but instead of folding in her knees when seated so she can stretch for toys, she keep her legs straight, making it difficult for her to stretch for toys. I'm not aware that you need to fold your knees when you are sitting. That's not necessary. So just there's nothing wrong with the baby folding her knee or not folding her knee. What we want the baby to do is to sit. When baby is ready to crawl, baby will crawl by usually around 9 months, and that's when they can move forward and all that. So, and I'm suspecting that for a 6 month old, they are just starting to sit. Sitting without support, with so much balance and confidence, usually around 8 months anyway. So I'm not really worried about this baby at all. Okay, next person. What can I use for my baby having red patches like rashes on the cheek and the neck is kind of red and all that? So this look like a child that has skin infection. I can guess, but I've not seen the rashes, so I don't like to say what I've not seen. Usually, we have to see a rash before we can make a diagnosis, and when we see it, we make a diagnosis, then we treat it appropriately. So you need to see your doctor for the treatment. But we also have a write-up by our dermatologist on how to care for your baby, because sometimes some of these babies having these rashes is because of our approach to their skin care. So there's a proper approach to the skin care of a baby. You need to make sure that the kind of soap you use for them, the kind of water you use, the kind of products we use on their skin and all that. We need to make sure we're doing the right thing and make sure we're not putting other things on their skin. Like some babies react to certain products. We always recommend natural hypoallergenic product. So you want to make sure you're doing all that first. So sometimes doing all that alone may just clear even the rashes by itself. But if it's like a reaction to products, you need to or an infection, then a doctor needs to treat it. And when, for example, also one of the things that I found that sometimes when we wash our baby's clothes, the detergent, don't be using lots of them on the baby's clothes, and if you do, you must rinse them thoroughly, because those things also they can irritate the baby's skin. Also, even when you put your baby down on the sofa, on the bed, make sure that all the surfaces are clean, the clothes are washed properly and rinsed properly and dry properly and ironed. So those are the things, precautions we need to take to prevent all these skin rashes on our babies. But when there's infection, and also when we touch baby, people that touch baby, they must always wash their hands. And I know it's our culture, when people come, everybody wants to carry baby, carry baby, carry baby. And sometimes all the hands they have come with is full of germs. So let them wash their hands, use hand sanitizer before carrying baby. And sometimes some of us, when we feed our baby, we always like to leave the bib on their neck. And and all the milk, all things on the bib irritates the neck area. Or some of us, the babies are too clothed, and even the weather is just sweaty and all that, yet we believe they must not have breeze enter their body. So these are things that kind of create scenarios or setting for skin rashes, and those are the things that we need to make sure that we avoid. So please get a doctor to see your baby for the treatment. And like I said, this is some of the things we talk about in the first time mothers course. Okay, I know you said not to allow babies view phone or TV screen, but you did not tell us the harm. Oh, okay. If because if you actually read where we recommend this kind of things, is there are more information. So please, I always want you guys to always read the links that we put. So this is not Gbemisola recommendation. This is a World Health Organization recommendation for babies not to be exposed to screen, because we want children to interact with human beings, with people, you, family members, and not a screen, because the screen is unresponsive. So it is not it's a device, and children are not going to learn to interact by looking at the screens instead of interacting with you, the mom, or other family members. So that is number one. Also, of course, there are also other issues, including the radiations and all that are also coming through. But the most important thing is because children learn everything children learn is by interacting with people, human being. That's how they learn to talk. That's how they learn to develop. So it's human interaction is very, very crucial at that formative age when their brain is developing and all that. So we want you to do those interaction with them. We don't want a non-responsive device to be what they are exposed to. So there are other reasons and all that, but like I said, if you want to know more about it, I'm sure we put the link there. I will check. If not, we can still put the link there. These are researches people have done, and compare. So usually doctors will do, scientists will do research, will compare when you put children to screen versus when you don't put them to screen, and you let the the human interaction, which child is better in terms of brain development, in terms of this. So they do all those things and then they come back and say this based on this. So these are not things we just make as we like it. No, these are based on evidence, research, what has it shown us. So that is how we come across all these things. So I hope it's helpful. The next question, Precious saying, good evening, doctor. My baby drools, bites on her gum, and I've noticed her poop has something like catarrh. Could it be teeth? What do you mean by teeth? Or you mean teething? She's 4 months, 2 weeks old. 4 months, 2 weeks old. Most babies will bring out saliva, if that is what you mean by drooling. If there's something wrong with that, because they produce more saliva and they may not always be able to swallow everything. As long as it's not like it's so much like, so wet. I'm sure most of us as parents we know when you know that you have to change bib like 2-3 times within 1 hour and it's soaked wet. That's serious. But just a little bit here and there, there's nothing to worry about. Usually when babies are about to start bringing out seeds, they may bite, bite on things and all that, or rub their gum on things and all that. That is signs that their teeth are about to come out. But that does not mean you need to go and do anything about it. It does not mean you need to give them teething powder. It does not mean you need to give them, what else do we normally give them? Don't give them anything. It's a natural thing. It's a normal thing for baby to bring out their teeth. And we are talking about your babies too. You've not told us about your baby's food. Is your baby on exclusive breastfeeding, or your baby on formula? Your baby taking water, you'll be on drugs. So these are things that can affect your baby's too. So we cannot comment on your baby's too when you have not given us all those information. Okay, Jennifer is saying, my baby is 15 months today and still breastfeeding, especially in the night. How can I stop him? You don't have to stop him. We want you to breastfeed for 2 years. You can breastfeed for 2 years, even beyond 2 years. So I don't know, Jennifer, why you want us to tell you to stop the baby. Please let the baby continue to enjoy the breastfeeding, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to stop, if you want to win the child, you want to do it by yourself. There are tips for winning the baby and all that. So I think you already started because you're only giving the baby in the night. Especially in the night. So you are doing both day and night. So when you want to win baby, it's better you do it gradually. So you may want to reduce. So you may want to stop giving it in the daytime and only at night. And make sure your baby is already eating very well. All the complementary food is not a child that is still struggling with it. The child is not sick and all that. And then you make up your mind you're ready to stop, and you stop. And then, of course, the few days is going to be rough. Your own breast is going to be heavy. The baby's going to cry. It's all going to be normal. But after 2-3 days, you wear fan bra, you take your painkillers, find other ways for the baby. Baby doesn't have to drink anything in the night, doesn't have to eat anything at night. So, excuse me, your baby will be fine. So just make up your mind. If you want more tips, we have tips on winning on our website. Okay, the next question. On Exit Lady Price, my baby of 1 month bobs all the time, even when not being fed. I don't know what you mean by bobs all the time. See that baby is bringing out gas. There's nothing wrong with that. If there's no gas, baby will not bring it out. So I don't. That's my understanding of what you mean by bobs. If it is not, please correct that, because I'm not really sure. I always like you to tell me exactly what you mean. Some expressions may not always mean the same thing to both of us. So that's why I said that. But there's nothing wrong with the baby bringing out gas. Or if you mean the baby is bringing out a little bit of the milk, then that is reflux. Again, it's not something to worry about as well. Okay, GIBK Obiama, should milk be added to baby's food who are just started eating? What do you mean, baby? So what kind of is it? What when is the baby just started eating? I always want to know the age of a baby. I don't know. I always want to know the age. So if you mean a 6-month-old, you can add milk to the 6-month-old food. And what type of milk is good for her? Now you are confusing me because you have not told me the age of your baby. So Obioma, I think you are a newcomer. You are just coming, so you didn't get my initial instruction. When you're asking question, you must tell me the age of the baby so I know who I'm talking about. Then I know I'm giving the right information. LC saying, my son will be 4 in May. He's not yet talking well. Just a few words, even though it's improving gradually. Does he need to see a speech therapist? Yes. A 4-year-old should be able to talk like an adult. You should be able to understand a 4-year-old talking, even though you're a stranger to a 4-year-old. So if a 4-year-old is not talking like an adult, not talking full sentences, that child has speech delay. That child must see a speech therapist and maybe a developmental pediatrician, because the speech therapist will work on the speech, but the developmental pediatrician's job is to know why is the child having speech delay. Is it just speech delay, or are there other developmental issues there as well? So a 4-year-old, we are very worried if a 4-year-old is not talking. We want a 4-year-old to be talking like an adult, speaking full sentences with good grammar, everything, descriptive word, adjectives, everything must be present in a 4-year-old speech. So I hope that's helpful. Um, Thank you, Facebook user. Next person, talk about well done on this great work you are doing. Thank you. My son of 3 years will vomit when he finished eating, and didn't calm down before running around. Okay, yeah, okay. It wasn't like this. Okay, I understand your question. So your child has finished eating and then he started running around, and then the child will vomit, which is natural because the food has not yet settled. So what we need to do is to teach a 3-year, 8 month old is old enough to understand basic table manners. When you finish eating, we allow the food to digest first before we run. It doesn't have to be a long waiting between the eating and running around. There are other activities that can still do before the running around, and also make sure the baby is not overeating. The quantity also matter, because if the quantity is also much, the tendency to vomit is higher. So it's just a matter of trying to get the child to understand that. And it's not even a good thing for a child to really finish it and then run. We don't want the food to go the wrong way as well. So you just have to encourage him to eat slowly, finish food. It's better when you eat together as a family and everybody is still on the table, and you can also have some conversation on the table before they will now disappear. And after food, you may want to decide, okay, before this is what you do next, this is what you do next. Have a timetable, visual timetable. So that way the child already knows that's your own way of helping him to regulate, what he does or what he does not do. And that may be helpful. If that doesn't help, then maybe there's something more, and then you need to see us. When I say us, I mean you need to say pediatrician. Okay, as to say, my son is 7 year old. His penis doesn't stand in the morning, but does once in a blue moon. Should I be worried? I don't think you should be worried. I know mothers worried a lot about all these early morning um uh erections and all that, and I don't know why they worry, to be honest, because we pediatrician would never worry about it, and we don't even bother about it. It doesn't have any implication for anything whatsoever. So when your child is at puberty, that's when we worry about their development and all that. So all these parents just getting panicky about erection or no erection in the morning, you don't even know. It doesn't have to be when they wake up in the morning. You don't know. It doesn't have to be when it doesn't have it when they are passing the urine and all that. So you don't know. You are not in your child's life every second, and they don't have to tell you everything. So there's really no need for you to worry at all. Just let them be. All right. I've hardly seen any adults that would make a diagnosis of infertility, and it's because they didn't have erection when they are a baby. Nobody. I don't even think it factors into anything we do as doctors, but it's something that mothers worry a lot about. I get asked this question all the time. There's something to worry about. Okay, Precious saying, my good evening, my baby of 4 months, 2 weeks, so as something like attendance too. I was the one who was talking about it. Yes, I've answered your question. I told you didn't tell me what your baby is eating. Okay, your baby is on EBF. Okay, yeah. Okay, so are you giving water? Are you giving drugs? Are you giving any other thing else? I always like to ask that, because when Nigerian mothers tell me EBF, I always need to qualify what they mean by EBF, because people have asked me about EBF and they told me their babies are drinking water. So sorry if I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence, but based on my experience, I always want to ask, what other things do you give to that baby that could affect the stool? Even yourself, what are you taking? Because if you're also taking medication, and all that, it can affect your baby's too. So you need to even other, so you need to think wide, and what am I eating? What my baby eating? What are those things that could affect this too? If you are really sure you're not taking medication, you are not taking anything, then just don't worry. Just keep breastfeeding your baby. I will not worry about anything. But those are the things that tend to affect the stools, the food, the drugs, and all the things that we eat as well. And even not just the baby, but the mother too, because it can be passed through your breast milk to the baby. Okay, another thing is just say my baby sits with support instead. Okay, I've answered this question before. Uh, no, your baby. I've already told you your baby is just 6 months old. Baby is just learning to sit. Sitting fully is actually at 8 months. Sitting without support within back straight and crawling is at 9 months. So there's no need to start worrying her head. Let the baby, let's just keep seeing the baby and let's just monitor the baby. That's what we do. Even if you come to the hospital, that's what we're going to do. We will just monitor the baby and see how the baby does. We are not going to get nothing is going to happen by us worrying whether the baby will do it or not. Let's wait until the baby gets to the walk crawling time, then we will now worry whether the baby is crawling or not. So I want mothers to stop worrying. I want you to calm down when your baby gets. So most times, even for doctors, we wait and see how the children do, and you cannot always predict things. So there's no need for us to start worry whether the baby will crawl in time. Let's wait until the baby gets to that time and see whether the baby crawls or not. And hey, if baby does not have, it's now not crawling, usually we even worry about crawling at 1 year, not at 9 months, then that's when we will worry. We don't like to worry her head. So just relax. The baby will be fine. All right. What month can a baby be able to stand on mom's lap? What month is the baby should only so this thing we always try to make babies to stand on our lap. We are not recommending it. It's not necessary. Baby should stand at 9, 10 months. That is when they should stand. You don't need to force baby to stand on your lap. I know mothers do that a lot. It's not a milestone we check for. So there's nothing about whether it's not something we're looking out for because we don't want baby to stand. What I want your baby to do at 3 months, I want them to have neck control. At 6 months, I want them to be sitting with support. At 9 months, sitting without support, starting to crawl. At 11 months, I want them standing, holding onto the table, and I want them walking at 1 year. That's what I'm looking for. Every other thing else, I'm not worried about. So stop worrying yourself about what you don't need to worry about. Seriously, I know why I'm saying that, because when you're worried, you are putting yourself under unnecessary anxiety, you're affecting your breast milk production. There's really no need to worry about all these things, okay? Does baby have neck control at 3 months, 4 months maximum? Good. Whether your baby is standing on leg or not, it's not necessary. Don't even force them to stand. Can your baby sit at 6 months with support, sit without support 8 months? Good. Can your baby crawl at 9 months? Some babies don't crawl, so it's okay. Can your baby stand holding to table by 10 months? Walking by 1 year? That is the average normal milestone. That's what pediatricians are looking at for. We're not looking at whether you can put them to stand and all that. We know why we check some of those things. That is for us to check. That is not for you to check. That is not for you. So there are things we check for tone and all that, but we will only be doing that if you come to us because there's another problem. But if your baby is developing well, doing what we expect, we are not going to be checking those things. So doctors do those things, checking for other things. We're examining the baby's neurological system. It is not parents' responsibility to do all that. Okay, so but if your baby has other issues, we will know from those other developmental milestones. So that is how we know those things. So I don't want you to worry about what you should not worry about. Okay. SC say, yeah, she gasses all the time. She also bring out part of the milk. All those things are fine. Like I already suspected that's what you are talking about. That is reflux. When you feed your baby, keep your baby is bringing out a gas a lot because your baby is also taking a lot of gas. That is what is happening. So how does baby get in gas? Bottle feeding. So no bottle feeding. How do they take in gas? Crying a lot. When they cry a lot before you start to feed them, so they gulp in a lot. So all the time, that's gas. They're taking in the gas. So you work on those things that make your baby. So make sure when your baby is already turning around and looking for breast milk, that's the time to feed them. Don't wait until they're crying and then they fill all their tummy with gas. Of course, the gas has to come out. So if you are using bottle to feed them, the bottle is always full of gas. All those empty spaces, they are gases, and sometimes maybe you are finished sucking. So for those of you that bottle feed them and the bottle has empty, you see they keep on sucking the gas in the bottle. So those are the things that make them to have all those gas, and they have to bring it out. So for me, I think the best thing is to make sure your baby doesn't even take in so much gas. But bringing out the gas is not an issue. But because if the gas is too much, then sometimes it comes out forcefully, and that is when the food come out through the nose, through the mouth. Then when you finish feeding your baby, and I hope you are giving them breast milk, because I'm not sure I get that from your question, make sure you pat the back, just help them to express a bit of the gas. You can't always express everything, and keep them upright for like 15 to 30 minutes before you put them down. So that will help reduce the amount of reflux coming out, but it doesn't stop it completely. Reflux will only stop when the children are on completely solid food. So because the gap between the baby's stomach and the nose is so short, so it's easy for the milk to go back. But as they get older, the space get longer, and as they start eating more solid food, the tendency for the food to return is also reduced. So that's just what is happening. So, and I hope you are breastfeeding your baby, SC, because I didn't get that information. Okay, so Essie, I think you asked another question. You need to be in my first time mother's course. I can see you're a first time mom. When somebody asks me like 7 questions at a go, they are first time mom. That's one of the ways I know first time mom. So I strongly recommend you join our first time mom course. Okay, so how do I know when a baby of 1 month old is feeling heat or feeling cold to avoid overcovering her exposure to cold? Very good question. So I always tell moms to feel their baby's palm. So feel the palm or the feet. That's how you know. So usually baby's palm, if it is cold to your touch, then that means your baby is too cold. Then you can wear additional layers of clothing. If it is not, or if this is too hot or sweaty, then that means your baby is too hot and you can shed those layers of clothing. That is how to know. Very easy to know. And I trust you can use your own, but that's the easiest way for parents to know. Usually some mothers, this baby is sweaty and you're still putting the cap, you're still putting minties, you're still putting socks. Come on, please. That's not appropriate. So there's, I don't know, Nigerian moms always feel that baby's dressing is not complete until they put on the cap, until they put on the mintings, and until they put on the socks. I don't know where they learned that from, from experienced mother, but that's not true. Your baby never, if you are living in Nigeria where the weather is so hot all the time, they don't need to wear no cap. And that's why you see the baby's also taking off the cap, but mothers will buy another one and put it and tie it around the shin as well. And oh my goodness, let our babies have fresh hair on them. So please just use that method. If the weather is cold, of course, it's rainy, it is wet. Yes, cover them, keep them warm. But when it is hot, everybody is sweaty, please let the babies also have some fresh hair on them. So, SC, I recommend you join the first time mom course. I'm sure you'll find it very useful. These are all the issues we're going to be talking about. Joko Tade, an elderly man saw my 10-month-old baby and said he has many blood and less fluid in the body. But it takes enough water and even after meal. So it's supposed to have many blood. Even me as a doctor, I don't know how these elderly men know how somebody has many blood with just by looking at the baby. I don't know how the person knows, but I don't. That's not how I will know whether a baby has many. I don't even understand what you mean by many blood and less fluid. I'm not, to be honest, I don't understand what that means. But I guess you are translating from what the person told you in native language to English. It has not really make much meaning to me, but whatever the person has told you, I don't know, and I don't want you to believe. Why do you guys always listen to people who are not qualified? So this elderly man, how did you know your baby has many blood and less fluid than me? Just by looking at your baby. I don't know. I think I always encourage mothers to stop listening to people who are not qualified to advise you on health issues. This is not about pride. Everybody has their job role. So a doctor went to school for 6 years, 10 years, 20 years to become a specialist. So that's the person you should take your baby to. Somebody who is not a health professional cannot just tell you anything and you run home with it. How did the person know those kind of things? So, and you believe the person and you're not asking me. I think you should have asked the person, because that's the person that can answer the question. Anyway, I don't even believe all this nonsense. But if you are worried about your baby, please take your baby to the hospital. Let any of my colleagues have a look at your baby, examine your baby, do the necessary tests they need to do, and then they can advise you. But please don't let people start putting you in panic mode unnecessarily if they are not professional. And I know professionals don't talk like that. That's what I'm so sure of. Okay, Blessing say, what milk will you recommend for a 3-month-old baby? All these people that are asking me about milk for a 3-month-old baby, you already know what I'm going to recommend. It's your breast milk. Oh. That's the milk. That's the only milk that is the best for your baby. I don't know why we don't want to breastfeed our babies. Our babies should be on breast milk, not nan, not formula, not cow and gate, not which other ones have you guys mentioned today? Not any of those things. All those things are not the best for your baby. If you want me to recommend anything, I'll recommend breast milk. If you look at all your products that you've mentioned, they also wrote it there. They must write it. That is part of the law, that they must write it there that breast milk is the best for your baby, even on the can that you are buying. So if somebody is telling you this is the best, even for the, why are you buying the second best? If you have any, and most of us always think we can. No, you can. I always think it's your mindset, but I know why you don't want to breastfeed, because all our mothers, all the grandmothers, they're always on putting pressure. People always putting pressure on you. The breast milk is not enough. Oh, your baby is not getting with blah, 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 blah. And you start to panic. This is why I do the first time mom calls. You can breastfeed your baby. You just need the right people around you, giving the right encouragement. People breastfeed twins exclusively. So if they can breastfeed twins exclusively, you don't have any excuse to not breastfeed your baby. Just relax. You relax. Take a lot of water. Keep putting your baby to the breast. Your milk will flow. We have breastfeeding videos. Watch them. Make sure your baby is properly attached to the breast. That is all you need to do. You don't need to buy any formula to feed your baby. It is the best for your baby. And there's no milk in the world that is close to breast milk. No formula in the world, no matter all the technology they put into it, is close to it. So me, I already have a standard answer. If you want to ask, there's no point asking me. If you want to ask me about formula, I'm never going to prescribe formula on this kind of a program. The best milk for your baby is still going to be breast milk. All right. And that is why our breastfeeding rate is 17%. Very horrible. You know, our breast milk rate is even worse than even some of these countries that we think we're copying, and they are wishing they are like us, breastfeeding their babies. So it's the best for your baby. This is not Gbemisola, this is WHO, this is UNICEF. All the countries in the world, all the pediatricians in the world, everybody recommend that you breastfeed your baby. And that's what I'm going to recommend, because it's the best, and that's what I'm going to say. Okay, my baby of 6 weeks is too strong. Wow, too strong? How do you know your baby is too strong and active? I'm happy that your baby is strong and active. I don't know what you mean by too strong. So you may want to give me specific information. So I'm not even sure what to worry about or not, because the word too strong does not really make much meaning to me. Do you mean your baby is stiff? Is not bending? But that's what I don't know whether what you're trying to tell me. That's something different, but I don't know what you mean by too strong. I want baby to be strong and active. So when you say too strong, what exactly does that mean? Then we can take it up from there. Okay. What month should I make your baby to see? She's 2 months, so you don't need to make your baby to see. Your baby should start sitting by himself, usually around 5 to 6 months. So your baby should have development is sequential. So they start from neck control, usually 3 to 4 months. And then sitting with support, with pillow support, is 5 to 6 months. And sitting without support is 7 to 8 months. You don't need to teach children these things. They do it by themselves. It is natural. They do it by themselves. So don't put yourself under pressure. Okay, blessing. Look like you're also a first time mom. I'm looking at you. Okay, I think I need to dash to Instagram because time is going, and I think I've run out of my time, and then we'll come back. Okay. Let's see. Body matters. My 1-year-old has Bell palsy. What kind of prednisolone what dose of penicillin do you recommend? I'm not going to recommend that on this program now. You need to see your doctor to prescribe prednisolone. I don't even know the weight of your baby. There are many things we put into when we prescribe medication. It's not like adults. You adults, everybody take two paracetamol tablets. That's not how we prescribe for children. For children, it is custom made for each child, weight and so many things. So there's a doctor who make a diagnosis of Bell palsy. That same doctor is the one that's supposed to recommend the dose of your medication for you. So it's not something I can do online. Is it normal for a 6-month-old to strain when pooing? Most babies do that. It's not a normal thing. It's just something they do, and it's not, as long as the stool is not hard, I'm not worried about it. Charlie said, my 3-month-old baby weight is 8.2. What was the best weight? He didn't tell us, but 8.2 is big for a 3-month-old. But maybe your baby was born big as well. So we need that information. Okay. Inkeru is telling me your son is 5 years old. His hearing reduced from last December. I took him to an OPD, was read to ENT. So as the ENT doctor, have they done an hearing test? Because you are worried about hearing, but I guess what they are trying to tell you is that they are not worried about hearing, they're worried about ADHD. ADHD does not cause hearing problem. So that means they are saying, have they done a hearing test if you are worried about hearing? So, but anyway, you say you want to see us, we'll see in camera, and then we can have that conversation. Faithfulness. I was advised to give my 6-year-old vitamin D drop because we stay in a country where it is not so sunny. What do you think? Yes, you should do it now. Yes, you are in UK. If you are in UK, you should give vitamin D. We don't do that in Nigeria because we don't. That's not our problem. They have very limited sunlight here, but I'm sure most of you Nigerian mothers, your sunlight is plenty. Okay, yeah. So faithfulness, yes, I've answered your question. All right. Miss Gracie, my daughter of 4 years has skin irritation behind her hair. We have been treating it, but it keeps coming back. Doctor prescribed hydrocortisone cream. It keeps coming back. You need to see ENT doctors. That look like what we call otitis externa, becoming chronic, and yeah, maybe you should see the ENT doctors. And more importantly, you need to always wash behind the back of her hair and dry it, and then you can just use Vaseline, something, that's what I normally recommend, and usually it helps. So wash, dry, keep it dry, use a little bit of Vaseline. If it keeps coming back and keep opening up, then you need to see the ENT doctors. They are the expert when it comes to ear, nose, and throat. Okay, Dr. Hallett. Oh, Dr. Hallett, good evening. This is one of our always recommending ATP, our fan. Why do some manufacturers recommend baby food from 4 months? They are confusing some of us. I'm sorry on their behalf. Sorry, but the manufacturer can recommend whatever they recommend, but we as the doctors are the ones to tell you what we think is the right thing. We recommend 6 months because the research evidence have shown that the baby's intestines or the digestive system is ready to handle solids from 6 months. That is the best optimum time for the digestive system to handle solid, semi-solid. So that's why we recommend 6 months old for complementary. So forget whatever the manufacturer says and follow what the health professionals have told you. So Ugo now say, when the boys' private parts start to grow bigger, usually when they hit puberty, and puberty varies. So usually it varies from country to country actually. So it's getting lower and lower each day, but usually most of the time it's between 12 to 13. Some maybe a little bit earlier, maybe 11 years, but usually around 12 to 13. That is part of puberty. Show me for King, how can one know when a baby is having allergy to a particular food? Okay, so the child who is having allergic reaction, normally they will come out with rashes. You notice that when you give them that particular food, they start having rashes, redness, and itching. They start itching their body and all that. Some of them, their eyes may swell up, their mouth or tongue may swell up. So those are signs of serious allergic reaction. And you will notice that when you stop that food, it's those things goes down. And each time you give that food again, you start seeing those signs. So that is how you know. Some babies may have what we call food intolerance. So when they eat a particular food, they may vomit or they may have diarrhea or their tummy may swell up. That is it's a form of reaction, but it's not the typical allergy when you have rashes, itching, swelling, and all that. So it's like midway in between. So that is how you know. But even then, some people, if food intolerance too, you may have to stop the food if your child is not able to do that. Good evening, Dr. Alex. How do we go about seeing developmental pediatrician in Luz? Then just go to Luz. You have to have a referral letter to the pediatric neurology clinic, and yeah, you should be able to see the pediatric neurologist there in Luz. So you let your own doctor write you a referral letter. I think the clinic is on Mondays, and yes, they'll be able to see you there at Luz. They very fair. Good evening. I introduced my baby to bottle too early. He has simple confusion. Yeah, sorry. I am correcting that now, and I've been breastfeeding for 4 days. Wow, I should clap for you. Well done. Okay, I think you are just giving me information, but you didn't tell me any question. Okay, so but I'm impressed. That's well done. Job shop smart. Can I start using toothpaste for my 11-month-old baby? Yes, of course. Even from one tooth, you should start toothpaste and toothbrush. Yes, okay, they may first now say, okay, I feel it's not satisfied with breastfeeding. How do you know it's not satisfied? Okay, how do you know it's not satisfied? Then we can have that conversation, because being satisfied with breast milk is not about crying, it's not about noise. The most subjective way to know your baby is getting enough breast milk is weight gain. Is weight gain. Your baby must gain weight. That is when your baby is getting enough breast milk. That's the only most objective way to know. Another, of course, most time you don't want to wait until maybe after 1 week to go and weigh your baby. Other way to know is that how much milk are you bringing out. So if you're bringing out a lot of milk and your baby is finishing that milk, your baby is finishing 120 mils, is finishing 100 mils of milk. That's enough for your 3 weeks old baby. It's more than enough. Your 3 weeks old baby, you don't tell me the age, I mean the weight, but that baby should not be taking more than 60 mils, 70 mils at once. So if you are lactating where your milk is coming out, you feed your baby, you can see your baby's tummy is even bulging out. That baby is getting enough. So people always confuse baby crying, wanting to suck all the time with the fact that the baby is not getting enough breast milk. That's not how to know the baby is not getting enough breast milk. Babies suck for other reasons, okay, apart from hunger. Baby cry for other reasons. In fact, that's the only language they speak at that age. So you need to have this information. If not, you will just be getting yourself unnecessarily upset. So people will tell me they breastfeed the baby is still crying, baby is even vomiting the milk, and they will still think baby is not getting enough milk because baby is crying. So crying for babies is not just about breastfeeding. It's not because they didn't get enough milk. So that's why we recommend you watch all our breastfeeding videos so that you can see how do I know my baby is getting enough milk. Okay, that's number one. Number two, join our first time mom course. You will also have that. Those are the things we talk about in this. Trust Smart Nigeria. My 3-year-old, one of his eyes is a bit red. He's coughing once in a while. Is it nothing to be worried about? Why is the eyes red? Did he put his finger in his eyes? Is he, or is it like, if it's both eyes or something, then maybe it's an infection, conjunctivitis, but he says one of his eyes is red. Usually for infection, it tends to be both eyes, it won't be one. So you need to ask him all those questions and all that. I'm not worried. You need to ask him why is his eyes red. Is he itch his eyes? Did he put his hand there? Did somebody drop something in his eyes and all that? You need to have those information. Yeah. So they be fair. Okay, you've not even told me this before. I already know that's where you're going. So it's always crying does not mean your baby is not getting enough breast milk. That's actually, so I've answered your question before I even saw where you're going, because I know that's where mothers always go to. Crying is not always a sign that your baby is hungry. No. Baby cries for many, many reasons. Many reasons. In fact, they cry even when they are bored. They cry when they want to sleep. They cry because they maybe the temperature is not to their suiting. They cry because they are too hot. They are cry because they are too cold. They cry because they just want their mom around them. So why do we always jump down to only breast milk or food as the reason why baby is crying? No. So again, this is why I always say you guys need to join us for the cause. Okay, Udo Mbalewe, good evening. How do I stop my baby from sleeping on the breast? Don't let the baby sleep on the breast. I don't understand what you mean by that. But you didn't tell me the age of your baby. But if you are talking about a baby that's you always have to put them on the breast before you sleep, you stop it. You started it, you stop it. So usually we recommend that you don't let baby develop those habits. When your baby has finished feeding, go and put them down on the bed. Yes, they will cry for the first day, just rock them still on the bed and they get used to it. But once you start teaching them things and they like that, then it becomes a battle to stop. So you don't start what you're not going to finish. So that's just what we recommend. But you didn't tell us, always tell us the age of your baby. Show me for King here in Netherlands. The doctor wait to start giving baby fruit and vegetable from 4 months. It's so confusing. Well, I don't know about Netherlands, but I know if you go and this is not a Netherlands thing. This is a World Health Organization thing. This is a UNICEF thing. These are things, recommendations that is for all countries and all over the world. What we recommend is 6 months for complementary feeding because you are supposed to do exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. So if people are doing complementary feeding from 4 months, that means you are not breastfeeding your babies exclusively, and that is not right. So and you have to be careful also which doctor is telling you. Is it a pediatrician or is it just general doctor? So you need to also make sure you verify information. But this is the age of technology. This age of information. Nobody has a right to be confused about anything because you can always verify every information. You can always go on online yourself and go and do your research. So there's no confusion at all. So I mean, even the doctors know that patients also have access to internet and you can verify information and you can always know what this is recommendation and that's it. And I've recommended what I've told you now is what is recommended by the World Health Organization, by the UNICEF. UNICEF is a part of the United Nations that talks about children health issues. So that's just all I'm going to say. Da, 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 da. Okay, my Miss Gracie said we live in a country who I give my 9 month old and 4 year old multivitamin. Do I need to give them vitamin D separately? If you are giving multivitamins, I want to assume that vitamin D should be um in your multivitamins. And the vitamin D at this age is for babies on breast milk in those countries, so it's not for everybody. So it's because they believe that their mothers, they don't have enough breast milk. Babies inside the house, you're not going to get enough sunlight and all that. So their breast milk usually very low in vitamin D. So they give vitamin D supplements to babies on breastfeeding. So this your own is different. You are 9 months old, you're 4 year old, you are giving them multivitamins. It's fine if you want to. It's not compulsory. If your babies are eating fruits and vegetables, they're going to get all the vitamins from there. So, but it's up to you. But the vitamin D we're talking about is for babies who are breastfeeding, not everybody. Okay, final question from Instagram. How do I stop my 5 month old from sucking her fingers? Okay, yeah. So some maybe suck their fingers and habit. It's a self-comforting thing for them. Or maybe because they were hungry before and looking for food and nobody gives them food, then they start sucking their fingers and they use it to comfort themselves. So it's an habit thing. So what I normally recommend is that you give them something else to do with their fingers so that they won't tend to put in their mouth. So 5 months old, they can handle toys or all those what do you call it? Something they can bang in their hands. I've forgotten the name we call it now. So you can give them things like that. They hold it, they play with it, and so that will distract them. So it's a distraction method from having to suck on the fingers. But it's an habit that most of them outgrow with time. All right. Okay. So David, you dropped a lot of questions in the uh in the question section, but I think we've answered all your questions already. Um, I think that is sorted. Okay, so I believe so. Don't Your baby is just 3 weeks old, so relax. Just breastfeed your baby, and relax. And I think you can exclusively breastfeed your baby with that bottle. And don't always take every crying to mean baby is not fed. Baby have colic, they can cry from colic as well. That is when they cry for absolutely no reason. It's colic. So those are all the things you need to know about your baby. So all right, thank you so much. I think let me quickly round up the questions on Facebook and my colleague said day. Okay. Oh, well done. Faithfulness Akin is telling me about. Let me just go about. I hope I've not jumped some baby. Sorry, I say baby. I've not jumped some questions. Um. Yeah. Okay. I think. Okay. I think I've answered this one. Okay. I've answered that one. I've answered this one. Okay. I've answered that one. Have I answered that one? Okay. Facebook said, say my baby is 2 months plus. He has rashes all over his body all the time. Was told to use cefuroxime, which I did, but it came back. I think you should go back to the doctor since they treated your baby before and your baby is still now having the rashes. You need to go back to them. But I recommend you go through our dermatologist teaching on the care of your baby's skin, because I think sometimes all we need to do is not to be treating rashes or giving antibiotics. We just need to make sure you're doing the right thing, you're using the right kind of hypoallergenic products and all that, you're eliminating things that your baby could be reacting to, you are paying attention to hygiene, washing your hands and all that. Those are basic things we all need to do, and your baby's skin will be fine. So before you start jumping to antibiotics and all that, I think you should focus on what am I doing that I should do differently. So I think that's what I'm going to recommend. Okay, SC lady, you want to join first time mom? Because yes, you are welcome. You should send us a message on this WhatsApp number showing on the screen, and one of us will respond to that. Um, uh, can a baby sleep under fan? Yes, your baby can sleep under fan, under AC too. I know you're a first time mom. Okay, faithfulness, thank you. Our exclusive breastfeeding just ended. My baby's weight is 8.4 at 6 months. That's okay, that's fine. It's a little bit on the other eye side, but not to worry. Okay, our bones are strong. I'm not really worried, but I'm being very careful to tell you whether not to worry or not. Because I don't know why you think your baby is too strong, the bones are too strong. I just want to hope it's not a baby that has some other developmental neurological issue, like a baby who is having what we call hypertonia or stiffness of the body. So maybe when you go there for your baby check or immunization, please don't just a doctor check your baby just to make sure we are talking the same language, because this is too strong. I'm not really sure I understand it. A postnatal first time mom, okay, said that 3-year-old baby ate her breast milk. She always vomited like artificial milk. She said her breast milk tastes salty. Is it possible? What's the cause? I don't believe all that. So, number one, we need to see this mom. We need to see her breastfeed her baby. We need to make sure she's breastfeeding properly. We need to make sure she's not giving any other thing else. Yes, really, we have babies that have some what we call metabolic disorders, and they will not be able to digest the milk. So people that have lactose intolerance, or they have some metabolic conditions that because of that, those are the rare reason why sometimes you're not able to take breast milk. They are very, very rare condition. We call it simple error of metabolism. But this is not how it happens. It's not by because baby is eating a breast milk or vomiting. Most of this kind of thing is old wives' tales due to poor breastfeeding, due to poor approach to doing things. So it's only doctors, pediatricians that make those kind of diagnoses of impaired error of metabolism, and there's a way to do it. So because this is not just because baby is vomiting, there are other reactions we will see in that child that shows that that child is not digesting breast milk, is reacting to it and all that. There are other things. So what I recommend first is this mom need to see a pediatrician, need to see the pediatrician with a dog, with a baby, and with a breast milk, and we will do it live and see how the baby responds to that and all that. So the baby does not hate any breast milk. People just assume the baby hates their breast milk because they're not feeding properly. and making sure, number one, a baby also does not have any health issues. A baby who is sick, for example, may not want to suck, may be vomiting. That's because the baby is ill, not because breast milk is the problem. So that's why you cannot just say something and we run to it. We have to see this child, we have to see the baby, we have to see the mother. We need to make sure there are no other issues. We cannot, there's baby don't hate breast milk. So that's just number one. Let's just clarify that. Okay, I see we've answered your question. Thank God. I'm happy. I'm always just repeating, you've not answered my question. Okay, my son jacks his knee towards his chest, like there's a pain in his tummy. I don't know. Does the baby cry? Does he anything? Why do you think it's a pain that is making baby to jack his knee towards his chest? I'm not really sure I understand this question, but usually when babies are in pain, they cry. That's the normal thing they do. So, but if you are worried, if the baby is jacking the knees and is worrisome, please let a doctor see the baby, okay? And then we can take it up from there. Final question. Okay, thank you. Somebody's saying talking from 6 to 8 p.m. is strenuous. Thank you. Actually, it should be 6 to 7, but because people will not let me go, so okay, say it cries like it's painful. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry. Okay, I think we finished. Thank you so much. I'm so happy we finished. So, but like I said, if you still have questions, don't like this person. Sorry, last question. Please see a doctor because we need to know what is going on with your baby. I'm not really sure I understand why the baby is jacking the knees, crying. We need to see that kind of a baby to know what is going on. Sorry about that. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for all the questions. And I hope we've learned. Like I said, if you still have questions, feel free to go to our Facebook group Mondays to Saturday. Post your questions there. Somebody will answer your question. First time mothers, join our first time mom course. I didn't bring the flyer. So next week I'll bring it for you. Join the course. It's starting March. Trust me, you're going to enjoy it, and it's going to help you with your motherhood journey. And it's not expensive. It's something that you can invest in your motherhood journey. And you can also join our group discussion on our Facebook groups. I think we always have one thing once in a week. And you can follow us on our social media. You can go to our website. You can you can book your one-to-one chat with our professionals. You come on our ATP clinics, and you can support our outreaches. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today, and I'll see you next week by God's grace. And that's bye for me. If you mix the program or you join late, you can watch the video again. It's going to be on our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's going to be everywhere. You can always watch it again. And we're looking forward to also having a podcast soon where you can actually just listen, and I'm sure you will learn a lot. So thank you so much. Bye from me.